Hello everyone. So, this is a little bit of an Outlast Trials speedrun that I put together recently from the beta. I'll let this intro play out for those who haven't seen it.
You are the exterminator. Only we can tell you what is true. There is a snitch inside the prison, preparing to testify against our truth. Kill the snitch, and we will let you out.
Alright. So a lot of the runs I've seen posted for this have been on easy mode, but this is on normal mode, which makes things a little bit more difficult when it comes to the puzzles, especially the generator puzzle. If you haven't seen any footage of this game yet, this might move a little bit quick for you, and I guess all I can say is if you're looking for more blind type playthroughs, I tend to do those on Twitch these days, so if that's something you're interested in, you might want to follow me over there, twitch.tv/ifreams. But I tend just to post like guides and speedruns and stuff, and more concise videos over on my YouTube channel these days. Although I'll do the occasional blind playthrough. Like I said, a little bit of a speedrun, but I also wanted to spice things up a little bit and make it more difficult on myself. I'm not using any items, and I'm also not using my rig. I would have liked to get a no damage run going, but I think I took a couple of hits towards the end. But this is pretty quick for normal mode. It was about 14 minutes, which probably isn't the fastest that can be done. I definitely did get messed up a little bit in areas. There's a lot of RNG to this level, so different things can happen in different places. Enemies can be in different places. The puzzles are different. Try and run around these guys here just to get into the pods. You got to watch out for those guys that are sort of standing there because they can stun you for a good few seconds. So if you have already played the beta, you'll know you have to deal with a couple of generators in a little bit. And if you're playing on easy, you don't have to fuel the generators, you just have to kind of press some buttons and turn them on. Whereas on normal mode, you have to fuel them, which takes a lot longer. But then you have to deal with some keys, and the location of those keys is random. You'll see what I mean shortly. I'm really liking the beta from what I've seen of it. It's lots and lots of fun. At least I got to post a little video for those who haven't seen it yet. And if you know anything about me in Outlast, then you'll know I tend to post guides and I like running the game. Hopefully I can get some sort of speedrun going with this game when it comes out, although I think things might be a lot different just because of the way the RNG works in this game. It's a lot less linear. The layout is always the same, but item spawns and enemy locations and puzzles change. So I'm expecting a lot of that from the main game. The one thing I'm looking forward to with Outlast Trials is they're going to have some DLC for us, I'm guessing. They're going to be able to release new trials over time, which is going to be cool to see. We'll have new Outlast content coming for a while with this one, I'm guessing. Although I do kind of hope they're working on a story-based Outlast 3. I'm guessing this does have some sort of story behind it, but I'm sure you know what I mean. Single-player type story games are fun. But it's kind of cool that you can play this one with friends or by yourself if you want. Solo mode can be a little tricky in areas though. So the generators here that I'm trying to move towards need to be fueled. Like I said, if you're playing on easy, you don't have to fuel them. So I'm just grabbing up this gas can. You can't really move very fast while you're carrying the can. You need to look out for enemies. You can lock doors and keep them out and stuff. When you actually do power up the generator, it'll make a lot of noise. One thing that I think needs fixing is what happened to me right here. So I don't know if any developer's going to see this, but I was filling the generator, and when I released the gas can, I backed up into the barrel. I actually wasn't pressing any buttons at that point. It just kind of happened naturally, and then I got grabbed by this guy. If you don't really understand what happened, there's an enemy hiding in that barrel, and it's kind of random where they'll spawn. And the barrel's just too close to the generator. So there's nothing I could actually do about that, I think. Unless there's some type of rig that can get rid of them, maybe. If I had a distraction item on me, like a brick or a bottle, I would have been able to smack him off. But I'm using no items in this playthrough. I just wanted to make things more difficult for myself. One big difference in this game to the other Outlast games is that you have items like bottles and bricks to cause distractions. You have health items And you also have a anti-psychosis item. I think around here you might see something like that happen. I stood on a mine, and you'll see a little green meter pop up that depleted a little bit for me, and basically, it's right there. When that reaches 0, an enemy will chase you around, and you either have to find the antidote to heal yourself or outlast the guy that's chasing you, and you can't get rid of him really. He sort of is really quick, and if your sanity meter, we'll call it that, is low, then you'll see that guy sort of showing up periodically and jump scaring you, which is pretty cool. It's a nice little mechanic, and it makes things a little bit different. But he can be annoying. It also messes with the way your screen looks. Like you can see him there spawning in the floor, but I kind of just walk past him because I'm trying to be quick here. Although that isn't easy. I also got hit by a trap right there. Doors can be trapped, and that's random as well. Like, you don't know what doors are going to be trapped and what ones aren't. It changes each time you go through the trial. I'm not sure if that happens on easy mode, but it definitely happens on normal mode and hard mode as well. But on normal mode, if you're playing solo, they don't do any damage, but they just sort of hinder you for a moment. I think on hard mode they do damage. At least when you're playing with friends, they do damage. I might try and do a run on hard mode and see how I get on my own. I think that could be kind of interesting. I just sort of wanted to get something out for the beta, so you guys had something to watch. And I feel like easy mode was too easy for me. And normal mode is pretty easy as well if you're using items. Like I also mentioned, I'm not using my rig, and if you don't know what the rigs are, it's kind of like an ability that the game gives you. There's different ones. The one I have equipped at the moment, but I'm not using, is a stun one. So if there's an enemy lurking around that I want to stun up for a few seconds, I can throw like a little device at him, and it will stun them for like 4 or 5 seconds, and they can't sort of follow you. There's another one that allows you to heal. There's other ones that create like a stealthy mist or something that allows you to remain hidden. So there's that enemy that I was talking about that's controlled by the psychosis meter, or the sanity meter. He sort of jumps out and jump scares you from time to time. It's pretty creepy, but also kind of a cool mechanic. One thing I do like about this game is it does stay pretty true to Outlast's visuals. Like, stuff like this is just really gruesome, and I think it's pretty cool. There's a lot of the whole Outlast vibe going on with this game, which is nice. So this next section, we have to find 3 keys, and we have to look at these TVs to figure out which keys we need. So that one is the I key, and the keys are hidden inside bodies, just like the one we got a minute ago. And that one is just sort of like a little tutorial the game gives you. But it changes each time you do it. So, and also the locations of the bodies change each time you do the trial. So you can't really learn where you've got to go. Although I did get lucky here, and the first body I found was the key that I'd already figured out I needed just by looking at those monitors next to the locked door. But yeah, you kind of just need to run around this area, find the bodies, and there's more than the ones you need, obviously, and so they're all labeled. So you need to go and look at the monitors, figure out which keys you need, and then go ahead and find the right bodies. That enemy that you just saw run past me there has kind of got some sort of device on him, and if you make too much noise around him, he does that sort of screaming stuff, and if you're too close when he hears you, it sort of stuns you for a few seconds. So the idea here is, before you have figured out which keys you need, is just to find bodies along your way and just look at them, and you'll sort of reveal which symbol is related to that body, and then you can sort of figure out where the keys you need are. Once you've done this a few times, it does sort of like make sense, but it's kind of annoying. You can see this guy on my right sort of standing here gurgling away. If I get too close to him or make too much noise to him, he will sort of start screaming, and if I'm too close, it'll stun me for a few seconds. It's not so bad if he's on his own, but if he's around other enemies, it'll just give them an opening to hit you and shit, so it's just kind of annoying, to be honest. Right, so the other key I need is the spade key, and that's this body. Again, I'm getting pretty lucky with the spawns. I think there's about 6 or 7 bodies and 3 keys that you need. And sometimes it can be really annoying if the key you need is like on the last body you find. There are set spawns for the bodies, so if you do this enough times, you can kind of learn the spawns and check them all, although it does change between a bunch of different spawns that are in the area. Also, you can see there it says I need to break in the door. All of that stuff is random. Like, this door might not need breaking in the next time I do it, or it might have a trap on it, or it might be locked, and it just changes every time you do the trial. Although the basic, you know, layout of the trial is the same. You always need to find 2 keys. If you do on normal mode, you always need to, you know, do two generators, but the location of the cans of gas and the generators changes, so it can make things difficult when doing a speedrun, and that's kind of why I think doing speedruns might be quite tough for this game, just because you're going to be dependent on RNG. So I figure I got pretty lucky here and found my keys quite quickly, and now we just need to go and unlock all the doors, push the snitch along, and we need to electrocute him, and then we can just leave the trial. So not a fat lot left. This is really just one level. Like I said, a lot of the videos I've seen posted of sort of runs of this have been on easy mode, and also people have used their items, or they're collecting items at least, whereas I just wanted to spice things up and make it more difficult for me. I know people like to see stuff where you get through without using certain things or doing whatever. I just thought it'd be interesting. I don't know if collectibles are RNG as well, because I have found a bunch of collectibles, and there's also a bunch I haven't found. So I don't know if certain collectibles will just spawn in randomly, so you have to do the trial numerous times to find all the collectibles or something like that. I think that could be kind of annoying. Hopefully the game sort of detects what collectibles you don't have and spawns them in. You can tell if a door's trapped if you look at it carefully. You'll see like wires and lights around it. Sometimes if you're in a rush you won't notice it and you'll just get hit in the face with a trap. But if you're taking your time, you can kind of notice them. It can be difficult if it's dark. But I just need to open up the doors and then push the snitch along, and then electrocute him and we can leave. When you push him to the end though, the dude with the electric gizmo thing will show up and try and zap you, so you need to be careful with that guy. He's a lot quicker than the other enemies, he does more damage also. But one other thing I haven't mentioned is the sound meter. So in the middle of the screen you can see these sort of little bars around the center cursor, and that sort of indicates that you're making a lot of noise while pushing this guy. And if it's white, no one can hear you, and if it's red, someone can hear you, and enemies may come and investigate, and that noise you heard there kind of means that someone's on their way to you. So that's why I stopped and had a little look around. There's not really anything you can do about making noise here. I'm just trying to be careful. But one thing you want to do in this area is sort of, if an enemy does come after you, which I think does happen to me in a second, is try and lock them behind a door. If you're using your rig, you can sort of throw your rig at them and stun them for a few seconds and probably get away. I tend to run into a room and just close the door, so they have to break down the doors and lock them in the room. This guy, we got good old Bigfoot here coming along. Unluckily, that door was locked, so I didn't want to do anything about that. The one thing that is tricky about doing this without using items is getting through without reloading my battery. You'll find batteries all over the place. You can also disarm traps and take the battery out of the trap, and that allows you to get your night vision back. So managing the night vision here was pretty difficult. You have to kind of turn your night vision on and off all the time, walk around in the dark. But I'm kind of used to that with Outlast games, because I've done a lot of that kind of stuff with the previous game, so it's not too much of a bother. This guy's trying to have a conversation with us, but our character doesn't really say much. One thing I have noticed is that the Outlast's one sort of dialogue, I guess, or grunt noises that Miles, I think it's the same in Outlast 2 as well, Miles and Blake have been reused for this. They haven't really recorded any new audio. So we need to hold the switch now to electrocute the snitch, but this guy will always show up at that point. And I actually got pretty unlucky there, because he showed up on the one side where he arrives the fastest, but I'm going to lock him behind a couple of doors and just come over here and try and hold the switch to electrocute him. And once we've done this, we can leave the trial. So I know this seems like I'm flying through it, but trust me, the first time this trial took me a good freaking hour or two to do. It took me a long time. And then I tried it on hard with a few other people, and it was very, very difficult, like much harder than this. So I'm not sure if we're allowed to play insane on the beta. I don't think we are. Hard mode is the hardest difficulty we can do, and it is very, very difficult. It was very, very difficult for us to beat. We barely got through it, and we all got the worst rank possible. But I'll try to do some sort of little run with it if I can. I'll see what I can put together before the beta's up. I've only got till the 1st. Kind of annoying that this guy hit me a couple of times. I think if this guy didn't hit me, it pretty much would have been a no damage run, even though I got hit by a couple of traps. You don't take damage from those, so I guess it would have been no damage. So once you press the switch, you have to wait for the shuttle to arrive, and it takes like 10 seconds for it to come back. I'm sort of jumping about trying to avoid this guy, and I think because I ran out of stamina here, he managed to get a hit on me. There we go. That's the trial beaten. So, not a bad little run. I'm not going to claim world record rights on this or anything, but yeah, I just wanted to do a run where I limited myself with no items. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the run. Thank you all very much for watching. I'll try to get out a hard mode run, like I mentioned before. I think I got the A- there because I got hit a couple of times. If you're interested in blind playthroughs, if you missed those, come over to my Twitch, man. I do them all over there. I play games through casually on twitch.tv/ifreams, or if you just want to come through and support me over there, feel free. Have a great day. Until next time, take it easy.